Hey, welcome to Backyard Bows. Today we got two budget bows up for review. We're going to kind of do our first versus in between two bows from the same company. So we got two Bear Archery products up here. One is the Whitetail Legend Pro and the other is the Legit. So, and the reason we're going to do them together in the same review is because, you know, at first glance, they are the same bow. You got the same risers, 30 inches axle to axle. They both weigh 3.8 pounds. There's a little bit of a difference in the brace height. One has 6 inches, one has 6.25 inches. So, but everything else on the bow is the same. They got the same limb pockets, which we talked about with the Alaskan, which I actually like. They have the aluminum liner on the inside, and then they have that wedged shape that kind of keeps them in there real nice and snug. Same limbs. Same string stop. This one has a little bit different design, but you know, in the end, they're the exact same. This one comes with the dampening systems between the limbs. The Legit does not. So same bows. The biggest factor that's going to make these different, and it kind of changes the entire bow and makes it a new bow, is the engine. So they both have different cam systems and module systems, which we will discuss in depth here in a second. So same car, different engines, but it's always fun to me to see two bows that are virtually the same that will feel, you know, and I'm anticipating will feel so different just because you switch up those cam systems. You know, so the Whitetail Legend Pro comes with 60 and 70 pound options that fluctuate 15 pounds. And then the cam systems that are on the Legit allow for the biggest versatile platform on the market today, and those go from 11 pounds up to 70 pounds, which is incredible. So not every draw length, just like we mentioned on the Mission switch from last week, not every draw length gets the entire full fluctuation, but it actually has a little bit more than the switch, and it fluctuates about 40 pounds instead of I think the switch fluctuates about 35 per the highest draw length. So, you know, so something else that I thought was really cool, this has 6 color options, but the Legit, which usually when they do a budget type bow, one of the ways that I think they save money is limiting your options, but that has 11 color options, which is really cool for younger kids. I think there was a lot of cool stuff on there that I think especially some kids would like. So, you know, I think the question is why? Why have two of the exact same bows? You know, switch the cams and mods, call them something different. And I think the main reason to me is, you know, this is a great, and not just because of the name, this is a great whitetail bow, nice and compact. 30 inches is my favorite axle to axle height. If you're somebody who's established, you're not growing, you're going to use it, you know your same draw length, your draw weight. You know, I'm thinking this has a little bit souped up cams to get those little bit higher speeds, but this is kind of like your bow for your established hunter. But if you love the platform and you're looking to grow a little bit, you're a beginner and you kind of want to fluctuate your draw weight, or let's say you're a dad and you want to buy one bow for 2 sons, I think the Legit is a great option to get that same platform, but to be a little bit more versatile. And like I said a second ago, it is the most versatile bow on the market today. 1 extra pound in the switch and 4 extra inches on the draw length. So let's go ahead. We'll do one by one and we'll kind of go into depth on their cam systems. So on the Whitetail Legend Pro, you got these EKO synchronized cam systems, really cool. A little bit, you know, they explain it in detail in the little booklet that you get with the bow, but you do need to read about them, and they kind of are a little bit different than than what we usually see. But I think with a little bit of in-depth reading, kind of messing around with them a little bit, you can figure them out. Pretty easy system once you kind of understand it. So there is a draw stop. That will need to be rotated first. So you put it on the correct lettering, which will throw the graph up on the screen, and then that draw stop is going to indicate your let off. So you need to rotate it. There's an arrow on the draw stop, and you can either rotate it towards the positive or towards the negative, and then you can rotate it quarter turns, and that will give you either your 75, 80, 85, or 90% let off. So that gets moved first, and then you rotate your module to press up against it, and that will set your module on your draw length. And there's an indicator right there on the cam that will let you know, what draw length you're at. So this goes from 26 up to 30 inches. Like I just mentioned, 75 to 90% let off. I think it gets 340 feet IBO rating, so nice and quick bow. You know, the EKO cams are some of their, I think, premier cams that Bear has put out. I'm actually really looking forward to shooting this. I think it's going to be just a nice, really inexpensive, nice whitetail hunting bow. You know, and hopefully these cams are as smooth as they say they are. So one more thing, they do have the limb stop option. It's that little, you know, oval piece of plastic that you can put, I think it's just on the bottom cam, but you can attach that and that will give you that nice solid back wall. Another thing is it's really easy to tune. So after you put your 250, 300 shots up, it loosens up a little bit. If those draw stops are not hitting the cables at the exact same time, you know, give your cables a twist and it's really easy to tune. So messing around with it, I think the only thing negative that I would say is after messing around with it so much, I stripped the module screws. Luckily they were on the setting that I'm gonna hunt with, but man, those screws are just not real tough. So just be careful when you're loosening and tightening them. So let's go to the legit. It has a dual cam system. It comes with 3 different mods. So it comes with inch increment mods, half-inch increment mods, and then a constant draw mod. 11 inches to 70 on the pounds. It gets from 14 to 30 inches on the draw. So if you have it on the longest draw length setting, it goes from like 72 down to 30, 32. So like I said, it's 40 inches of draw weight fluctuation, which is a little bit more than the Switch. So most versatile bow, you know, platform bow on the market today. Like we've always mentioned, when you start trying to, you know, increase the draw length and draw weight for so many hunters, it's really hard to manipulate those cams and it kind of usually affects the draw cycle. So I'm interested to see where the Switch, I really didn't prefer that draw cycle. It wasn't comfortable to me. I'm interested to see if the legit is any better. So that'll kind of be fun to test out. And then we'll obviously be able to compare both of them together. You got the same bow, different engines. I'm excited to see kind of how drastically that changed the draw cycle, the shot cycle, the hold, and all of that. So that's something we'll do here in a second when we get outside. Another thing about these dual cam systems is that constant draw. So maybe for a younger kid, it lets you hit all of the draw lengths and then you can shoot. So it doesn't have, a setting on that constant draw module, which is cool. So, and then if you have the inch increment module, that just goes right on the number, and then we'll show you a little picture, but if you have the half-inch increment module, it actually goes on the line that divides the numbers, and that's how you know it's a half-inch instead of an inch. Let's go ahead, we'll shoot. We have the legit dressed up first, so we'll shoot the legit, and then we will shoot the Whitetail Legend Pro, and then again, we'll go outside and we'll do our freestyle test for both of these bows, and we'll give them both a separate grade at the end, and we'll kind of compare the draw cycle and shot cycle. And again, we did them together just because it's the same bow, different engine. I thought it would be a cool comparison, at the end. So we'll start with the legit. This also comes with a package deal. It's all Trophy Ridge products, Trophy Ridge sight, Trophy Ridge rest, and a Trophy Ridge quiver. Again, I'm not a huge fan of the packages, but if that's what gets you in the field and gets you started hunting and fits into your budget, go for it. Go for it. You can always go back into a bow shop later and switch it up, maybe upgrade to different sights and rest. But again, if you practice with, we talk about this constantly with these budget bows, if you practice with what you got, you'll get good at it. You don't need a drop rest and you don't need the $350 sight for you to go out and have a successful harvest hunt. So let's go ahead. We'll start with the legit and then we'll switch everything over to the Whitetail Legend Pro and we'll give you a little bit of feedback on both. Man, so for such a versatile platform, I was expecting something a little bit different. This is fairly smooth. Again, when you're at the peak draw weight of a bow that's really versatile, I think sometimes if you're at the maxed out everything, maxed out draw weight, maxed out draw length, it can kind of feel extremely hard to pull back, especially to get it started. But this is not bad. This is not bad. So this kind of, yeah, it's a nice draw cycle. It absolutely punches your hand, so a ton of vibration into your hand. And it also, you know, it's a pretty loud thud. But I would say right now the draw cycle is probably the best thing that I'm noticing. You get a nice smooth draw cycle. When you get to your transitioning into your back wall, it's pretty smooth. It takes a little bit of concentration to balance it out. But pleasantly surprised with the draw cycle. I think looking back to last week's The Switch, that was one of my least favorite draw cycles on a large platform. This one, you even get a little bit longer draw length and an extra pound on that draw weight, and I think it's quite a bit smoother. And the other thing that I'm noticing that I like is it holds nice. It has a nice back wall. It doesn't want to jump on you like the Switch did. But yeah, I think the only really thing that I'm noticing, and man, it is noticeable, is the vibration that you get in your hand. I do like this finish that's on this riser. It's kind of gritty, and I kind of like the grip of it. It's kind of like you know, a little sandpaper feel to it. Let's do one more. But yeah, I'm impressed. I'm impressed for a $440 bow. With the draw cycle, with the versatility, what it is, a really nice draw cycle. Yeah, let's go ahead. Let's switch it up. We'll put all of this onto the Whitetail Legend Pro, and we'll give you a little single shot assessment of that one. I don't know, you know, a little bit different finish material. This is a little bit more like the Alaskan, a little slicker. That legit had that really gritty kind of sandpaper feel to it. I like the thicknesses of both of these and the shapes of both of the grips. The grips always stand out a whole lot to me when we're reviewing so many different bows. That's just one of those things that for some reason it just always stands out to me, but I like the grips of these bear bows. So a lot less vibration. That was kind of the thing I was keeping my eye out for, because that was what stood out to me so much on the legit, but a lot less vibration. So I'm assuming you can get some of these dampening blocks and put them in the limbs. That might help a little bit, or maybe it's just the cam system and mods, you know, the difference in those that give you that real thud to your hand. But man, that just so much smoother shot cycle with those EKO cams on there. The draw cycle is pretty smooth. I would say a little smoother, not a ton, but a little bit smoother than the legit. It has kind of a elongated peak draw weight. So you kind of, you know, starting it right here, you know, you got a nice little pull to the back there, but once you get it back, man, this thing, it holds really nice. Just like the legit. Both of them, once you get them set up, I like the way they held in full draw. So yes, so what you're paying for, you're gonna pay $110 extra. You're gonna pay $110 extra for these EKO cams, and I would say for me, it would be worth it. You're still in the 550s for a bow that's gonna get you in the field. A nice bow, really nice smooth draw. You know, I think Bear does a fantastic job with figuring out how to get those prices down. And one of those ways is obviously creating the same accessories and the same pieces that go on bows. So you got these limb pockets and the limbs that seem to be like on the same of every bow that they have. Maybe not the refined and resurgent, but you got the same string tops, little string stops, a little bit different design. But again, they keep everything so similar and it allows you to get a nice large variety of bows for an inexpensive price. I don't want to say it just yet, but I will. Before we get outside and do our freestyle and put a ton of arrows through it, I'm gonna go ahead and say this is probably my favorite budget bow that we've done yet. I love the draw. Man, once you get it once you get it set up, it holds really nice. 3.8 pounds, it's nice and light, it's nice and compact. 30 inches is my perfect, climbing in bow. Love the Fredbear pattern that they have on this, the camo. And this is a real solid bow. So again, both of these are great options just depending on who you are and what you're needing. But for the price, I mean, these are fantastic. So let's get outside. We're gonna shoot both of them a whole bunch. We'll come back in and we'll actually give them individual grades, but we're gonna do this all in the same video. Let's step outside. All right, so I'm kind of excited to do this because we got like double the shooting this weekend. And I'm not gonna skeet either bow. I'm gonna do one today, and then we're supposed to have an absolutely beautiful day, and we'll do one tomorrow. So we got 2 pretty days in the row, tons of shooting. I wanna give both of them a fair shakedown, even though it's the same video, the grade at the end is going to be individualized, or at least the performance side of the grade. A lot of the other stuff will be the same because they're the same bow, but all right, let's go ahead and get to shooting. We'll do everything, every 3D target we have, a whole bunch. Turkey at 20, boar at 25, buck at 30, coyote across the way at 35. We'll kind of mix it up and we'll get after everything today. So up first is the legit. So first thing, nice smooth draw. The biggest difference I noticed from just comparing the bows is that the Whitetail Pro is a little bit stiffer towards the end, where this one actually gives halfway through, and it kind of is an easier, easier pull back into your full draw. But I think the one thing that we're going to notice, another big note, something I'm going to notice is that the hold in this, I think, is going to be a little bit less solid than the hold in the Whitetail. And that's just from those couple shots that you shoot inside. And things might change through the day, but those are going to be the first initial assessments of each bow. We'll go up to the boar. But man, this is like I said inside, surprisingly smooth. I would say of any of the platforms that reach such long draw lengths and such a wide variety of draw weights, probably one of the smoothest that I've drawn back. So something else that kind of you notice as you get fatigued is like the hold of the bow throughout the day will stand out more and more. If a bow, the first couple shots, it's kind of hard to say if it has good hold or not. As you shoot more and more through the day and as you get a little bit more fatigued, that's when that kind of stands out the most to me. So that's one of the things I would say. They both seem to inside balance out about the same, which it just kind of takes that, you kind of have to correct it a little bit. They don't just balance out perfectly on their own. We'll jump across to the coyote and then we'll shoot some of those longer range shots. Man, again, vibration in the hand is unbelievably noticeable. I mean, it jolts you. And I got a steel plate in this arm here from where I broke it several years ago. So I always say that if somebody can tell if there's vibration in a bow, it's me, because that thing vibrates and you can feel it. So we're gonna do the same thing we just did with the legit. We'll go all the way up the ladder, shooting at all these 3D targets. We'll give you a little feedback here and there, and then we'll really get after some shooting. So this being a little bit higher speeds, that's, I think, what I'm feeling towards the end of that draw cycle. And, you know, and that's kind of where that plays into effect. You know, you get up in the higher speeds of the exact same bow, you know, towards the tail end of the draw cycle is where you're going to feel it. So right there, and it kind of has a little pop to it. Again, you kind of got to work past that tail end, which seems to be, you know, a little harder to draw back. And then it has a little bit of a jerk. It's not the smoothest, but it starts off real nice. And if you ease into that draw cycle, you know, kind of pull a little slower, ease into it, it doesn't have so much of a kick towards the end. It's incredible just by changing up the cams. You got the exact same bow. Again, the only other difference I think might factor in is these dampening blocks. Because this one has very little vibration where the legit had a ton, and this is even faster speed, so you got a more powerful bow, but I can't feel it near as much. So and the one thing that changes throughout a day for me is usually the draw cycle. So after you shoot a bow a whole bunch, the draw cycle, I don't know if it just comes, you know, becomes more familiar, or you kind of adjust a little bit as you pull back, anticipating certain parts of the draw cycle. But I think as I was to shoot this, you know, when we do it tomorrow, this draw cycle will become smoother and smoother and smoother as the day goes on. But let's jump to the Coyote. We'll just put one on each of these, one real good shot, and then so I'm thinking this platform, I think they decided to make the special edition legit with this platform because I think this is one of the best platforms that they have right now. I love, you know, I do like a machined riser, but this is a really nice, clean cut cast riser. You know, I love their limb pockets. So for the cheaper end budget bows that we do, you usually don't see those aluminum, you know, inserts for the limb pockets. I love the way they wedge them in there. I think that they put a great deal of detail into this bow, and to be able to give it to you at $500, $550, you know, with their premium EKO cams, this is probably, you know, and we'll circle back and we'll maybe say, once we're done with all the budget bows from this year, we'll let you know which we think was the best budget bow, which we think was the best flagship bow, but this one's going to be competing for sure. So let's put one last shot. We'll go to that Coyote. Let me put one more on it. You know, and just a reminder, we have so much time to do these reviews. We like to give you what we're getting. So some of the first shots that we put on any of these targets are 95% of the time the first shots that we put on them. So unless there's another issue that we need to circle back editing wise, these are some of the first shots that you're going to get. So let's jump over there. We'll do some longer range shots. All right, so on to the broadhead buck, which is at 30. Then we'll jump to the black bear, which is at 40, and then we'll jump up the hill to the elk at 50. So, man, I think the beginning of the legit draw is tougher, smoother towards the end. Opposite for the whitetail. Real nice and easy to get going, and then it kind of stiffens up towards the end. But both of the draws I really like. So we'll go buck first. And as I mentioned, as you get a little bit fatigued, that's when the hold stands out the most to me. and this one does want to jump a little bit. Doesn't have the most solid back wall, but again, I don't think when you get into more circular cams, that football kind of shape module, I think this does a great job of providing a back wall for you, but it gets harder and harder when you start to again accommodate so large of a range of hunters. Let's do one more on the broadhead buck. All right, let's go over to the black bear. And I know I mentioned this last time, but the longer shots those kind of go into play heavier into the effect of the performance grade for me. So we'll shoot a whole bunch on the black bear and the elk from over here, and we'll kind of switch it up a whole bunch this afternoon when the camera shut off. And this is where we spend the majority of our day shooting. But man, the noise is more and more noticeable too. Every time a bow has a really loud pop to it, it makes me want to like make sure everything is working and syncing correctly, but some bows are just loud. So those are my biggest negatives at the moment. Hair loud, pretty noticeable vibration. I think the thing that has surprised me the most and that I see as one of the biggest positives is the draw cycle on this. Let's put one more. You know me, I like to finish a little bit better. Let's put one more on that black bear and then we'll jump up to the elk. Okay, we'll set it all up. We'll get up to the elk and we'll finish those last shots with the legit. Okay, so we'll finish with the elk up top. Then we'll dress up the whitetail. We'll do the same shoot. And then at the end of tomorrow, we'll shoot the legit today. At the end of tomorrow, that's when we'll go inside. We'll do those final speed tests for both, which the legit is significantly less on the IBO speed test than the whitetail, but we'll still run them through with my 500 grain arrow, and we'll kind of get our numbers that we like to get, which will play into the grade at the end. And then we'll kind of give you that grade on both individually. But let's go ahead and we'll move up the hill. So just going from 40 to 50 yards, to me, it's so much more noticeable on the hold of the bow and the kind of the shootability of the bow. Once you get it back into full draw, not until you get out to those ranges are you really able to tell if you can settle those pins down with ease. So I can tell, right with that first shot at 50, you can tell that, man, these move a little bit more around on you than you think when you're shooting some of these closer range shots. Let's do one more. I like to put 3 on the elk. All right, we're gonna shoot a whole bunch. We'll circle back, we'll do the Whitetail Legend Pro, and then we'll give you the grade for both. All right, so you know the drill. We'll go broadhead buck, bear, elk. Best difference between this and the legit, the hold seems to have a really nice solid back roll where the legit doesn't. Once you get past that little hump on the draw cycle, it sets up a little nicer. The shot cycle is cleaner. The arrows coming off this thing, they're just a little cleaner shot cycle with the cam and mod setup. I love that it doesn't have barely any vibration. So I think, between the two, this costs you an extra $110 because it is just a little bit more complete bow. So again, if you're not interested in changing your draw weight and draw cycle and you're kind of set in, this is a fantastic budget bow. And I think the Legit is a fantastic, versatile platform bow. And just because they have the exact same riser, that is the, exact same riser, exact same limb pockets, limbs, string stop, all of that factors into Bear finding a way to be able to give us inexpensive bows, good quality, inexpensive bows. And I commend them on that. I think they do a really well job of not cutting corners by any means, but finding other ways to give us great quality bows for a good price. All right, let's go. We'll go to the Black Bear, and then we'll set up and move everything up to the Elk for those final shots before we give the Legit the rest of the day. So I think both of these bows have a very distinct sound, kind of a loud pop to them. That would be like the biggest similarity. But already, as we've progressed, the draw cycle of this is kind of smoothened out a little bit for me. And to be honest, I think they hold very similar. This one probably dials in just a little bit better than the Legit, and that goes into the hold factor. So let's go up to the Elk. So on to my favorite part of the day, the Elk shots. These are my favorite shots to take. 50 yards, I think it's perfect. I wish I had one of the big Delta McKenzie Elks, but this one will do fine for right now. Let's go. We'll put a couple on that one before we set this down and give the day to the Legit. So something I'd like to mention before we keep shooting is, and I mention this every time, it don't matter what you shoot. And actually I've seen it time and time again. You go to camp and you get the guy that shows up, he's covered head to toe, Sitka gear, brand new Matthews bow, all the bells and whistles, and usually comes out of the wood empty-handed. Then you got the guy who uses all his dad's camo from back in the day, has the bow that he's shooting for years. Might have bought a couple new arrows at the beginning of the season, but he's the one bagging everything. So it just depends on time. The time that you put into a tree stand, observing the woods, the time that you put into your bow into the off season, those are the biggest factors into your hunt, not the bow. Whatever bow, I could pick up any bow and practice with it. And eventually I could feel comfortable enough to go into a hunt and have the confidence to sling an arrow. Knowing that I'm going to place a good shot. So it doesn't matter what you shoot, and don't worry about what anybody says. You find something that fits your lifestyle, your budget, and then put the effort in. I could pick up any bow. With the amount of arrows that I shoot on a daily basis, by the time fall comes, my confidence would be just as high as it would be with any bow. So again, find something, practice, practice, practice. And don't buy into all the hype. It's not big of a deal as you think. Each company is going to give you sales pitches. They're going to, try to get you to buy their latest product and get you to give them your business. The ball's in your court. I've said this before, the ball's in your court as a hunter. Get into a bow shop and make a decision based on the way that you feel and what fits in your budget. We have options. There's so many good bows out there. There's so many good budget bows. And I've said this before, but the budget bows nowadays are outperforming the flagship bows from 4 or 5 years ago. So we'll give each bow a day. We'll shoot the Legit today. We'll shoot the Whitetail Legend Pro tomorrow. Then we'll sit down, we'll do the chronograph test, and we'll give each of them an individual grade. So give us a little bit and we'll have some for you. All right, so the last bear bow that we reviewed was the Alaskan, and I think it topped out at 274 with my arrow. So I'm suspecting that this is gonna get somewhere right in there. The Legit will be significantly lower, but we'll just kind of have to see where that lies. So we'll start off with the Whitetail Legend Pro. 272. So right there with the Alaskan. We'll do a couple with each. As I mention all the time, I really like consistency, so that's 283. And we'll keep shooting. Sometimes they jump around, but sometimes it's the bow. Either way, that's quick. That's real quick. .271. So I'm suspecting, and we'll shoot a couple more, but I'm suspecting that it's probably those low to mid 270s like the Alaskan. So 272, yeah. So we're gonna say that it's right in the low to mid 270s. We'll do one final one just to make sure. That's nice and fast. 500 grain arrow, 29.5 inch draw. 70 pounds. 85% let off. Okay, so that's back up to 284. When I do these, I like to shoot. So I like to see really what it is. I don't necessarily always trust the chronograph. As some of you mentioned in the comments, I need to buy a different one, but again, we're buying a lot. That's more money. And this one seems to be pretty consistent most of the time. So 278. So again, this is nice and fast. We're gonna say under 280, somewhere in the mid 270s for the Whitetail Legend Pro. Nice and quick, that's awesome. So now to the Legit. And I vary my draw length sometimes with certain bows, especially on the longer axle to axles. But once we get in here, we set everything again to the same, just to give every bow the exact same chance. So I think this is going to be less, but again, sometimes with bows that have a lower IBO rating, once you add, you would think that they'd be significantly lower, but once you add a really heavy grain arrow, sometimes they're not as low as you think. So we'll see. .265. So yes, right, on the IBO rating, you got 340 for the Whitetail Hunter Pro and you got 315 for this. So, once you get the IBO rating, they seem like they'd be a huge difference, but once you get that really heavy grain hunting arrow, the difference is quite a bit smaller. So 261. So I think we're gonna be right around that low 260, where the Whitetail Legend Pro was right around that low 270. Let's shoot one more. 263. So like I just mentioned, that's always been something that's really interested me, was you assume that the IBO difference in between two bows will be the same, once you start adding a certain weight arrow. If you shoot that same arrow between them, that they would have the same distance, but that's not the case. Some bows have a little bit, I call them just a little bit stronger. And they kind of bring that kinetic energy with that heavy grain arrow, even though the IBO ratings aren't really, really high. So that's awesome to see. So that Legit, that pumps a really nice fast arrow, almost just as much as the Whitetail, who was right in there with the Alaskan. So good speeds for everything all around. Once you get to a realistic hunting arrow where, the Whitetail Legend Pro IBO is 340 and the Legit's IBO is 315, but once you kind of pump up that arrow, you set them the exact same, they actually pump that hunting arrow about the same, which is interesting. So All right, finally, we have a grade for both of these bows. So yesterday we gave the day to the Legit, spent the whole day shooting it, really trying to give each of these bows a fair shake. Today we gave the entire day to the Whitetail Legend Pro and shot it a bunch. So the reason we did the first versus between two bows from the same company is because, man, it's just, to me, it's so interesting to have two of the exact same bows. You put a different engine on them and they honestly become different bows. They have different feels from the draw to the hold to the shot cycle. Everything kind of gets changed up and feels differently just by changing that one thing. So we'll do one at a time, and we'll give each bow a final grade. One of them did come out on top, which is interesting to me because it's not necessarily what I thought from the beginning. So we'll go speed. Let's do the Whitetail Legend Pro first. We'll go speed, topped out about 272, and I shot it a bunch off of camera and it remained in those low 270s. I think those random jumps up were the chronograph, not the bow. So below 280, you get the 8 out of 10. Quality, I love these risers that Bear has put out, even back to the Alaskan. I think they're nice and solid. Everything else on it you see seems to be that, you know, plastic, except the limb pockets. They do have that aluminum liner, which I like, which I mentioned. So the quality, we gave it that just nice round 7 out of 10 for the quality, and that goes for both bows. The appeal, I'm gonna give it on the lower end, right at an 8. An 8 is usually the lowest I'll give something on appeal. I'm not gonna just knock you real hard for the appeal. I do like the way they look, but it's not my favorite. And then we get into where they kind of vary. The technical aspect of them. The Whitetail Legend Pro, you know, besides the EKO cams, everything is very, very basic. We gave it the 6 out of 10. The Legit, because of it being the most versatile platform on the market today, beating the Switch, I gave it an 8 out of 10. And so then for the performance side, I love the Whitetail Legend Pro. I mean, this bow is a really, really, really nice whitetail hunting bow. And I'm not just saying that because of the name. Nice compact bow, great price, nice draw. This thing packs a punch. You can tell when you're drawing it back that this thing is nice and quick. So I gave it an 8 out of 10. I also gave the Legit an 8 out of 10 for performance. It wasn't the smoothest to me. It didn't set up the best for me, but the drastic difference between the Switch performance and how this Legit feels from Bear, I gave it an 8 out of 10 because, man, this thing blows the Switch out of water when it comes to the performance side for me. So I actually kind of bumped it up and gave it an 8 out of 10. So they both get an extra 3 for being under $1,000. We give you the extra 3 points. Between 1,000 and 15, you get 2, and if you're above 15, you only get to make up for 1. So the nice round 80, nice B grade for the budget bow for the Whitetail Legend Pro, and then the Legit, a nice, I mean, solid 84, which is up there with the higher end of our budget bows that we've rated to date. So if I was to pick one of these to go into the field and hunt, I'd probably go with the Whitetail Legend Pro. But man, for being the most versatile bow and the most versatile platform on the market, this is an incredible bow, the Legit from Bear. Loved it. So something interesting, in case you have not been following along, one of these bows is going to be up for our first giveaway from Backyard Bows. If you follow us on Instagram, you'll see a post. The post will let you know which one of these bows we're going to be giving away and the steps at which you can take to get an entry to win one. And if you don't follow us on Instagram, follow us, and the post should be up May 7th for you to know what you need to do to get an entry to win one of these. Don't buy a bow off of a single bow review. Above everything, get into a bow shop, get tons of bows in your hands. Make sure you get your reps in, and we will see you next Saturday